Live from the Center Right Radio Studios in Tempe, Arizona, the Chips and Salsa Show. Conservative conversation, picoso, not mocoso, with Don Jorge Ortiz and Alicia Lara. George, former California Democrat union man turned legislative GOP chairman.
And Alice, former New Mexico Democrat turned legislative GOP district state committee woman.
Together, they are your Chips and Salsa Show hosts.
Get your guac on now with George Ortiz and Alice Lara.
It is time again for another edition of the Chips and Salsa Show here on Center Right Radio, right here for you. I'm Alice Lara with
Don Jorge El Alacran. So you were a Democrat, huh?
He is, yeah, you were too. No more.
Not anymore.
We're Republicans. And if this is the first time you listen to our show, we can tell you that what we are is, George and I were former Democrats. We're Latino Republicans, and really we have this show to give a voice to us because a lot of people don't believe that Latinos can be Republicans too. And on today's show, in just a little bit, we'll introduce you to an issue that is on both sides, Republicans and Democrats, independents. People agree, and it's about a light rail issue in my community. You won't want to miss it, even if you don't live in the area. I know we have people from California listening and all over. You'll still want to listen because light rail is maybe in your area already or might be coming to you, and you could be affected. So please tell your friends. In fact, if you're watching us on Facebook, please share this at Chips Letter N Salsa Show, and you can share it to your own Facebook page. Tell people about us. And if you can't watch on Facebook, you've got to go away from there. You can go to Center Right Radio, and you'll find that at centerright.live. I want to give thanks first off because we have officially back is our technical director, Julian Allison. Woo, thank you. Welcome, Julian. Welcome back. And he is our good friend from Central City Radio, and he's going to be helping us out with the show here too. And we also need to give kudos to our producer, and that's Sonia Siegert, who's behind the scenes. She helps us with all kinds of stuff, including the cocotazos and the whole enchilada awards. Right, George?
Yes, and our executive producer is Brandon Jones. He's out of town, but he'll be here in a couple of weeks or next week or one of these days. He'll be here. He is so busy. He is so busy, and he's put this all together, and we thank him for that.
He has. And also in our show, it's just going to be a really dynamite show. We have our good friend Dr. Carl Petrasso returns, and he is a forensic psychologist, and he actually knew Dr. Pitt. And if you've been following the national stories, Dr. Pitt is a psychiatrist who was recently murdered, unfortunately, here in our community, and he's going to talk a little bit about that. But he is also planning to write a book, and it's about how he believes that the media is trying to become your mama and your daddy out there in culture land. So you won't want to miss that. Plus, you know, Dr. Carl is a dream expert. So if you have some dreams you like interpreted, I used to do a show with him, the Dream Interpretation Show, and he's a fascinating guy. So we've got just a super duper show. A few kudos to my nephew David Beasley. He's the one that wrote the music that you hear. Da 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 da. And I have a story to tell you about that too, George. Remind me. And Monica Lara, and Monica is my great niece, and she's the one who created our logo. So it's all in the family, right, George?
Yep.
Okay, let's see. We've got birthdays. Oh, I have a birthday to announce. Tomorrow is my best friend, another Alice Koenig's her birthday tomorrow. I'm not going to tell you how old she is because I don't have permission, but we're the same age. And happy birthday, Alice, tomorrow. Do you have any birthdays?
Nope, not yet.
Yours is coming, though. Oh, tell the people what you're doing about your birthday.
On my birthday, which is June the 25th, from now until June the 30th, I have a donation site of Wounded Warriors Foundation, the big one, the true one, and whatever you can donate, $1, 50 cents, $5, it'll come up on the page. If you go to my page now, you can donate, and it's up on my page. It's up on the Chips and Salsa page. So donate if you can. It goes to a good cause. My son's in the armed forces overseas in the Asian Peninsula, and my granddaughter is in the States, at the coast, serving in the Coast Guard, her and her husband. And I have other family members in the service. And it's a worthy foundation. They help servicemen, servicewomen to get injured, to lose limbs, and they help their families. They help the soldiers, and through what is that? PTSD, yeah. And it's a very good cause, and if you have a chance, and if you don't mind donating, you have until June the 30th. And my goal is, I think it's $2,050, but I hope to raise a lot more.
Where are you now? How much have you raised so far?
We're up to $45. I
just
just started this morning, and so you're going to see it, a lot of it, and I'll talk a lot about it in my daily posts. So donate.
Awesome.
It's a good cause.
You're back doing your daily vlogs too, right?
Yeah, because I was doing a couple of projects. I'm almost finished with them, and the next one, we have the governor speaking at our LD on August the 7th.
Wow.
On August the 9th, we have Sergio here. We have Sergio at my LD.
July or August?
August the 7th is August the 6th is the governor speaking at our meeting, and then that's going to be a big deal because we have like 3 legislative districts, almost 4 legislative districts that are going to show up, and it's going to be a nice gathering for our governor. He's running for re-election. Also, this Monday at our meeting, we have Sergio from CD3, Sergio Arellano. He's running for CD3 for congressman against Grijalva, the communists. So,
and in fairness, we should mention there are 2 other Republicans running, Nick Pearson and Edna San Miguel.
Pearson and Edna San Miguel. So, but this Monday we have Sergio at our meeting. So, and then he's going to be here on the show on July the 7th.
So we have a full lineup, don't we?
How
about plethora?
Plethora of stuff coming up.
Yeah, I know it's your favorite word. You like to say that.
Yeah.
George, I also want to give you guys a story. Okay, so David Beasley is my nephew. That tell you he writes the music. And this week there were a lot of primaries happening in California and New Mexico. That's my home state. I'm from the land of enchantment. And he shared with me that he went to vote, and he said there was a woman in front of him in line, and she was very upset. She kept demanding of the poll worker, she says, I would like a ballot where I can vote all Democrats. Where's a ballot with a bubble to vote for Democrats? Well, the poll worker was trying patiently to explain to her, well, this is a primary, so if you're a Democrat, you're going to get a ballot with the Democrat candidates. And she was just really upset. I guess maybe, I don't know if it was her first time doing it, she didn't understand it. And he was just amazed. She was so angry and upset. And I thought, wow, I thought that's a crazy story. So a reminder, when you do the primary, here in Arizona, we have an open primary. So if you're an independent, you can vote in the primary, but you have to pick either the Democrat side or the Republican side. And ours is coming up, August 28th?
Yes, and I do poll working because I'm a troubleshooter, and also
You're everywhere, George.
I work at the polls. If she would have came up to me and said all that, I would have turned around, picked up a Democratic ticket and given it to her, and she could have been arguing till she was blue in the face. I was like, this is a Democratic ticket. This is what you get in the primary.
Evidently they were trying, he said, but she just was so angry. It's so
I would have
funny.
said, Marshall, escort her out, please.
Well, you just don't take anything, do you? Yeah.
No.
Alrighty, so we also have Jeff Prather with the Prather Point. We're going to have that coming up in a couple of minutes. I want to tease a little bit. What we'll do is, at the first end of our segment, we're going to introduce to you, we have Celia Contreras and also Byron Waldrip, and Celia brought her son into Jaden, and they're going to talk about 4 lanes or no trains in South Phoenix. So you're really going to want to, if you know anybody who's interested in this issue, I'm going to give you time to get them to come over here, and so they can listen to the show and hear it. I also want to send I'm very, very sad. Charles Krauthammer, did you hear about Charles Krauthammer?
Yeah, he's dying.
It's very sad, and that man has had he's had a tremendous life. For those of you who don't know, he is a psychiatrist, but he was injured at a very young age. He had a horrible swimming accident that paralyzed him. So when you see him, he's a hardcore intellectual, but he's done so much with his life. But he found out he is not going to live very much longer. So it's very sad, but he's had a tremendous life. Okay, let's see. Mr. Julian, are you about ready for the Prather Point? Can we go to that, do you think?
Yeah, that's right now, isn't it?
All right. Yeah, so I'm going to give him a little second. If you haven't listened to our show before, Jeff Prather is our Fast and Furious whistleblower. He kind of keeps in touch with the dark state. He used to be a worker there, and has experience, and he still has his pulse there. He still knows a lot of guys. So every week he gives us his take on what's going down with that. So we give to you now Jeff Prather with The Prather Point.
Point on Center Right Live Radio. Hope you had a very solemn D-Day, June 6th, and Midway anniversary, June 4th. Very significant battles in our American quest for freedom. Have you heard the latest? While President Trump continues to make history by establishing talks with North Korea, pardoning a black grandmother from her life sentence, roaring the economy back to life, and other amazing things, dropping unemployment to incredible lows. The Democratic left and the deep state just keep self-destructing. The latest, an FBI agent at a wedding does a backflip, loses his gun as he picks it up, pulls the trigger, and shoots somebody. So this is not something that happened overnight. I began to watch this happen as a DEA agent. When I was at firearm school, I was at Quantico watching Waco. I watched the women and children be burned alive, and then saw the FBI bulldoze the evidence of the crime scene into the fire. I knew Lon Horiuchi, the FBI HRT sniper who shot the woman at Ruby Ridge. I watched as the ATF ran guns, and then when I accused the DEA, Michelle Leonard, of protecting the Sinaloa cartel, which later came out, by the way, in DEA testimony in the federal trial of Niebla Zambada. Yes, the DEA did have a deal with the Sinaloa cartel. Then, of course, they went after me. Trump has Peter Strzok, the obsessed FBI agent. I had the obsessed OPR DEA agent. Donald McMillan called himself Rusty. And so I have watched this process. I had a supervisor, Ira Israel, who used to shout the C word at the top of his voice, as the DOJ, the FBI, the DEA all went from professional organizations to political hacks, and they just became totally corrupt. And now, this last event, last week I talked about a DEA agent I knew getting drunk, stripping naked, and pooping in a hotel in Rotterdam, the center of hard drugs, is just like a lurching drunk. They can't even realize that nobody is listening to them anymore about the so-called informant, which was really a spy in the Trump campaign, the FISA abuses. It has degenerated into a pathetic comedy. But the truth is coming out, and the light is dispelling the darkness, and that's good news for all of us. This is Jeff Prather on the Chips and Salsa Show with this week's
Now.
And that was Jeff Prather with The Prather Point. But don't go away, because we'll be right back with 4 Lanes and No Trains. And I'm Alice Lara with
Don Jorge, the deplorable one.
Keep listening to the Chips and Salsa Show here on Center Right Radio, right here for you.
Olivia from Washington. Laid off and trying to keep our little kids from realizing that Mommy and Daddy haven't eaten in a while.
Roger from California. I'm grateful we could afford our son's surgery. I'm nervous that now we can't really afford food.
Daniel from California. Choosing whether to pay the rent or pay to fix the car to get to work doesn't leave us with much at all. Now we can't even pay for meals.
Donna from Louisiana. The storm just hit, and we went from donating to the food bank to needing it.
Keisha from South Carolina. I've been skipping meals so my 2 kids can eat, but filling up on water doesn't really work.
Hunger is a story we can end. End it at feedingamerica.org. Brought to you by Feeding America and the Ad Council.
Turn off the fake news and turn on Center Right Radio. Online now at centerright.live.
Today we decided to walk to school. The light counted. 15, 14.
41, 31, 13.
We took a left on Carroll Street. Danny's smart, but he gets distracted. I realized he forgot his homework. I hope he doesn't have another bad day at school.
When you can see learning and attention issues from their side, you can be on their side. That's why there's Understood.org, a free resource for the parents of the 1 in 5 kids with learning and attention issues. Go from misunderstanding to Understood.org. Brought to you by Understood and the Ad Council.
And it's a beautiful day here at the Search Engine and Digital Marketing Race in beautiful Tempe, Arizona. The horses lining up at the gate now, waiting for the bell. And they're off. It's just a two-way race today between your business brand and your relentless competition. Oh, but wait a minute. You've just hired Warhorse Agency for your digital marketing and are quickly taking the lead in your market. Well, hang on to your seat, though. Your competition started their own Google AdWords pay-per-click campaign and are trying to catch up to you now. Good for you, though. They have no idea what they're doing. But don't worry yet. Your digital marketing jockey at Warhorse Agency tirelessly regains the lead with a great viral Facebook ad as well as your own Google SEO and pay-per-click campaign ran by a Warhorse, true leading generating professional. Holy smokes, your business just got a major lead. You're on the first page of Google now, and as they approach the finish line, your business wins. Thanks, Warhorse Agency, for another smashing victory. Contact us today for your free digital marketing evaluation. Visit us at www.gowarhorse.com today.
You're listening to America's favorite political discussion on Center Right Radio.
And we are back with the Chips and Salsa Show. I'm Alice Lara here with
Don Jorge El Alacran and one of Hillary's deplorable ones. He calls us deplorable. So
I thought you can do a little commercial there. You're holding up One Truth.
Do you want me to do it?
Do a quick one, maybe.
This segment's brought to you by One Truth, one of our sponsors. They're a progressive rock group from Virginia, and they have a plethora of songs.
You got the word right. I'm so proud.
Plethora of songs, and go to iTunes, download their songs, One Truth with J.C. Gonzalez, and give them a little love because they help our program a lot.
Okay, now we're ready for a fast and furious segment. I happen to live in the South Phoenix area, and what's going to be happening there is our light rail will be extended. But what we found out, I started seeing these signs pop up, and it said 4 lanes or no trains. I'm like, what the heck's going on there? Because I'm not a big fan of the light rail, I have to tell you. But, sometimes those stuff happens, cities are growing, whatever has to happen. But evidently, the plan was, in their infinite wisdom, when they will be putting down light rail down Central, which is a big main thoroughfare, when it's all said and done, they'll have the light rail and then only 1 lane in each direction. Right now, there are 2 lanes. So that's not good for business people. So the business people, reasonably so, are upset, and we have 2 of them who will be severely affected who are with this movement. So I'd like to introduce to you and welcome Byron Waldrop, who is operator of Pete's Fish and Chips, and I know you've been there a long time at 3920 South Central, right?
That's
welcome.
Correct. Thank you.
Thank you. And also we have Celia Contreras, and you are with Tony's Window Tinting, right? Right there on Central as well. And how long have you guys been there?
We have 24 years.
24 years. Oh, you've been there a long time.
Yes.
So, and then also she brought her son and Jade, and we want to let you know, so we have all ages represented here. And you guys had a fantastic, successful community forum meeting last week. I think you had a couple hundred people there at least, and people got up to say their piece. So why don't we go to Byron, since your microphone's set up, and tell us what you guys are trying to do here.
In the beginning, we were trying to inform the community what was happening because nobody knew about the light rail coming through and taking out so much property to where it would be only 2 lanes, 1 each direction. As they started getting informed, and even for myself, it wasn't until just before Good Friday that I found out it was going to be only 1 lane of traffic in each direction.
So you had thought it was going to be 2 lanes?
Correct.
Okay.
So once I heard that, I knew that was just ridiculous, and we began notifying the public, all of our constituents, all of our patrons, and started a petition, getting them to sign the petition, because once they found out the truth, they did not want it either.
So when I went, it did not look like it was very popular. Celia, are most of the business people that are on Central with you on this issue?
Yes. For a little bit about the history for 4-lane or North Train, in April last year, I received an invitation for one meeting, sponsoring one school in South Phoenix. And when I'm entered, I see people of the light rail just talking about connect the cities. Yoo-hoo! It's so happy.
It's a good thing. Everything's great.
Yeah, common support is good for you. They're looking at us like the poor people, the people who don't deserve drive a car, the people who need the light rail, the ignorance, the one who needs to have the crown, the migajas, the crumbs, you know, for
throw you some crumbs.
Yes, and then we don't get the same respect for another communities. In other communities, they have a wide streets when the light rail coming. So when I'm coming to that meeting, I only see the maps because they don't give it to us any information. And so when I see the maps, I'm literally shocked myself when I see only one lane each side. So I'm saying, hi boys, what is that for? It's only one lane each side? Yes, they told me. And I said, oh no, that's not gonna happen in my community.
And there is no room, for those of you who aren't familiar with it, because if you drive down Central, it's not like you have a lot of space. Even if you wanted to expand it and create another lane, you'd have to buy some businesses out. It would be a major renovation. Plus, don't you also, it's going to cross under I-17, so they'll have to extend that, and then the riverbed as well, right?
Well, the city of Phoenix and the light rail, there's not transparent with the information, so at this point we don't trust them. And the information then they give it to us because we discover a lot of lies. One of the biggest lie it is they told us that they make it a community working group since the 2013, and this group is created for representative of local business, local residents, nonprofit community, and educational, and a lot of people. So they told us that since the 2013 they get meetings. We have the listing of this group, and they composed about 15 people, a small group who thinks that they have the right to represent the whole South Phoenix, which is a larger community. And unfortunately, 4 of this group
you don't feel like it's representative of your community?
No, it's not only that. They have it is associates of the city of Phoenix. They're working with the city of Phoenix.
Oh,
so
that's
they
interesting.
Yes, they have a interesting to.
So they didn't come to you, Celia or Byron, and say, "Hey, you guys want to be part of this because you live right there and you work right there."
Never.
Because you live in the community, Celia.
I live and I work in there. So we discovered, and then it's only 2 businesses in this group, and then we going and talking to them, and one of these businesses is Lolo's Chickens and Waffle.
Sure.
And Mr. Larry White told us, no, it's not true. I never be in this group.
That's interesting.
These people lie, and he gave it to us a letter. I can give it to you for you can show in your media. And then he told us this is a lie. I never be in these meetings. I never participate in this community working group. But actually, we have another business. His name is James Preston, the owner of Preston Funeral Home, and he represents actually Bethsaida Church. And he told us that, and it's when we discovered the machination of this Goliath, because everybody told me when I started this group, hey Celia, you tried to fighting with Goliath, and I said, perfect. It's the perfect battle, because I need only one little rock, then Jesus gave it to me for defeat it. So Mr. Preston told me then, they have my signatures because it's a part of the protocol. When you come in at those meetings, you fill it up, a little card, and give it to them just for they register your participation. And they told me, but it's a lie. And he gave it to us a letter who said, stop to use my name, City of Phoenix. You don't have any right to use my name. I never agree with this project.
Wow, you are a Goliath. I was Goliath up. We can call her Goliath up.
So
Okay, I want. We have just a few minutes, but you brought in. These are signatures.
Yes,
that you've collected.
This is the petition signatures. It's around a little bit more than 4,000 petition signatures that we collected since we started this group.
Wow.
For community business customers who don't want it, the Central Avenue cut in 2 lanes.
Okay, anybody that wants to support you, I want you to give your information out and what they need to do. So you're on Facebook, right?
Yes.
4 Lanes, No Trains. And if they want to show up at a meeting, or tell them what to do.
Well, the last you mentioned in the community forum, because nobody invite the community at this project. This is our community, and we don't have any clue in the decision. So we think about it. Well, 4 Lane No Train started with only business owners and property business, so we need to include the community. I want to know what is the thoughts of the community. Maybe the community wants the light rail, and I am so
yeah, maybe you're not the popular opinion.
Yeah, exactly. So we make it around 12,300 postcards. We send it door-to-door mail. We make around 40 signs, 4x5. Those kind of the political people put in the corners.
You did a beautiful job because people noticed those signs. I did.
Yes. So we send it, and then we put the 31st for the community meeting. What is our surprise? And the political people tell me, Celia, expected 40, 60 people, no more, because we do the same job and they're never coming. And I said, no, you don't know my God. And I'm really trustful. Then I have the rock in my hands for defeating that Goliath. So what is the surprise? Then the capacity for the South Mountain Community Center is 200 people.
Wow, and it was yeah.
And we have almost 400 people.
Stacked around me. Listen, we have to wrap it up. I want to thank you guys for coming in. We're going to put your information on our website, our Facebook site rather. And please, if you're interested in it, help these guys out. Go to the next meeting, and we'll have that information for you. Thank you, Celia Contreras. Thank you, Byron Waldrip.
Thank you.
And please keep us posted. Come back again and give us a report, okay, on what's happening.
We meet in every Thursday, 6 o'clock in the South Mountain Community Center. 212
East Alta Vista. That's in South Phoenix.
And we have a special meeting in the Consular the next 19th.
The 19th.
Go
All right,
see
watch
in
for
our
that.
Facebook Live.
Thank you. We'll be back with more of the Chips and Salsa Show here on Center Right Radio, right here for you with Alice Lara and George Ortiz. Thanks, guys, for coming in. Appreciate
Olivia.
it.
Thank you.
From Washington.
Sorry, it's fast.
Laid off and trying to keep our little kids from realizing that mommy and daddy haven't eaten in a while.
Roger, from California. I'm grateful we could afford our son's surgery. I'm nervous that now we can't really afford food.
Daniel from California. Choosing whether to pay the rent or pay to fix the car to get to work doesn't leave us with much at all. Now we can't even pay for meals.
Donna from Louisiana. The storm just hit, and we went from donating to the food bank to needing it.
Keisha from South Carolina. I've been skipping meals so my 2 kids can eat, but filling up on water doesn't really work.
Hunger is a story we can end. End it at feedingamerica.org. Brought to you by Feeding America and the Ad Council.
Turn off the fake news and turn on Center Right Radio. Online now at centerright.live.
Today we decided to walk to school. The light counted. 15, 14.
41, 31, 13.
We took a left on Carroll Street. Danny's smart, but he gets distracted.
I
realized he forgot his homework. I hope he doesn't have another bad day at school.
When you can see learning and attention issues from their side, you can be on their side. That's why there's Understood.org, a free resource for the parents of the 1 in 5 kids with learning and attention issues. Go from misunderstanding to Understood.org. Brought to you by Understood and the Ad Council.
And it's a beautiful day here at the Search Engine and Digital Marketing Race in beautiful Tempe, Arizona. The horses lining up at the gate now, waiting for the bell. And they're off. It's just a two-way race today between your business brand and your relentless competition. Oh, but wait a minute. You've just hired Warhorse Agency for your digital marketing and are quickly taking the lead in your market. Well, hang on to your seat, though. Your competition started their own Google AdWords pay-per-click campaign and are trying to catch up to you now. Good for you, though. They have no idea what they're doing. But don't worry yet. Your digital marketing jockey at Warhorse Agency tirelessly regains the lead with a great viral Facebook ad as well as your own Google SEO and pay-per-click campaign ran by a Warhorse, true leading generating professional. Holy smokes, your business just got a major lead. You're on the first page of Google now, and as they approach the finish line, your business wins. Thanks, Warhorse Agency, for another smashing victory. Contact us today for your free digital marketing evaluation. Visit us at www.gowarhorse.com today.
You're listening to America's favorite political discussion on Center Right Radio.
Stand by. So you're David. David versus
Okay, Carl. Whichever one you want. Oh, it's live. I'm so sorry. I apologize. We're back with the Chips and Salsa Show. I'm Alice Lara here with George Ortiz, the Alacran, and I apologize. I didn't know we were on the air, but that's okay. I'm too busy trying to run traffic here. Just to let you know, we're talking to the 4 Lanes No Trains people, and they are going to be, if you're watching TV tonight, on Channel 3 and Channel 5 at 5 and 6 p.m. I think their protest is going to be there, as well as they're going to be on KJAS, so watch for them on TV. This is an issue to follow. And if you live in the Phoenix area, maybe you travel the Phoenix area, I mean, you pay taxes, this is a concern for all of us. If you are just live in the valley, I think it's a big concern for everybody. So now we're going to switch gears a little bit, and we're going to welcome to our Center Right Radio studios, Dr. Carl Petrasso. Welcome back, buddy.
Well, thank you. And I know we did a show for so many years, and nobody complimented me, but everybody complimented you. They said you were a real pro, and you sounded great, and you do.
Oh, thank you, Carl.
So just want to let you know how appreciative I was to have such an expert along.
Well, that's so nice of you. And for our audience members, in case you haven't heard us interview Carl before, Dr. Carl, I should say, he is a forensic psychologist. He's also a dream expert. He's an author, too. He's written books, and he always has kind of this improve your life, make it better, and you can do it through dreams, and you can do it yourself. They're more than just self-help books, I call them. They're really, you do a really nice job with them, Carl.
Thanks. And you know, the first book was on dreams, and then the second book was on happiness, and now the third book that I'm working on is going to be on self-acceptance. And I try to bring with each and every book the idea that we're always swimming upstream against all the difficulties and challenges and conflicts that face us. And so, you know, so much of self-help is about learning to be where we want to be, despite the fact that life always keeps throwing stuff at us to knock us down and challenge us.
Boy, ain't that the truth. You know, we're going to talk about this book that you are going to start writing, but what I'd like to do, if it's okay with you, is I was asking Carl, we actually went to lunch last week, and I said, hey, you know, did you hear about this psychiatrist who was killed, and they think there's more murders? A couple of paralegals were killed, and you did happen to know Dr. Pitt, the psychiatrist.
You know, Dr. Stephen Pittine, he was a great guy, and he really helped me in my career, and he was a great supporter of mine, and I appreciate that so very much. We were over at the Arizona State Hospital together many years ago when it was a patient with a hospital with maybe 1,000 patients, and we worked on a very famous, at that time, child abuse case where a mother and her boyfriend had beaten the two children of the mothers to death.
Oh my gosh.
And left them in the bathtub to die. And she was at the Arizona State Hospital, and the question for Steve and I and the rest of the team was whether or not she really was mentally ill or whether she was faking mental illness. And we determined that she was faking mental illness, and we testified about that in court. So we worked on some heavy-duty cases together. He was a great supporter of mine, and in that sense, a friend in the time that I worked with him. I kind of lost touch with him many years after that, but he really was a nice guy, and when I hear all the accolades of people that were his students and worked with him, I think it's very true. But it shows the violence, particularly people are so lost and so angry. There's so much anger out there, and not only the kind of anger and violence where people strike back, but look at these suicides where people are so lost within themselves. They don't have a center. They don't have a ground. They're not comfortable with who they are. And when you're not comfortable with who you are, you're always agitated, you're always uncomfortable, you're always in a state of stress and unhappiness. And that leads to, that kind of behavior. In this case, I understand through the media that he was working where it was a divorce and it was going on for 11 years, and this individual had a violent history as it was. And so finally he ended up acting out not only against Dr. Pitt, but against the attorney and other people that he saw as his enemies in this divorce matter.
The two paralegals, were they just kind of in the wrong place at the
well, again, and this is something I heard through the media, but my understanding is that the target was actually the attorney, and the attorney was not in the office at the time. And so the paralegals ended up being the targets.
Was he hurting for money? Because I know he wanted to borrow some money. He killed two people that didn't want to lend him some money. They were friends of his, and was he having financial problems because of his divorce?
That may have been. I understand. A big problem with divorce is not only the money, because if you have stuff in common and then it gets split up, you're angry about that. But one of the most intense things can become a child who gets custody. And I think there was a big ongoing kind of custody battle as well. And those custody battles get so heated up. And I have to tell you, in my own career, I actually, and God bless the psychiatrists and psychologists and social workers that do it, I steered clear of doing evaluations for custody, because you're never on a winning side. You're going to say who the child goes to. Well, if you say the child doesn't go, if you say the child goes to the father and not the mother, you have an enemy in the mother. If you say the child goes to the mother and not the father, you have an enemy in the father. And then if you have a situation like I understand this was, where it's just an ongoing, festering, angry, well, okay, the court gave her custody, now I'm going to file more papers and I'm going to fight it more. And now suddenly you're the psychologist or psychiatrist that gets caught in the middle of this.
But aren't you, as a doctor, supposed to look at the welfare of the child and who best serves that child? We got custody of my granddaughter, and my stepson, he's a great father, but the courts felt that we should be awarded custody of the granddaughter. We've had her for since she was 3. She's 10 years old now, 7 years, and it was her well-being was better with us than with the parents. And then if you go back and you look at the Shackley case, where the mother abused her child and then all of a sudden the child disappeared and they think she killed her, you have to kind of put yourself in the child's protection or protective, even though you hate to rule against one or the other, because the paternal parents are the parents, but sometimes you have to rule against the parents because you find mitigating circumstances where the parents, where the child is not in the best interest of being with the parent, unless the parents are willing to go to counseling and willing to change their lives.
Well, of course, I wasn't talking about the honesty of the professional. In other words, you always, when you're called upon, you do what is in the best interest of the child. I was talking about the political dynamics of that kind of work. So those are two separate things. When you're called upon by the court to render an opinion as to who you think the child would be best suited to be with, of course you have to give to the best of your ability, knowledge,
as a psychiatrist,
as a psychologist. But that's different than the politics of what happens. The politics of what happens is now you have someone angry at you. And so what happened in this case is that after rendering an opinion and saying, I honestly think that the best interest of the child, and I'm not sure who in this case the child went with, I think it may have been the mother, I'm not sure, but after rendering an opinion and saying the best interest of the child is served by being with the mother, the father then became enraged, and this became a festering sore, and his feelings became, well, this is the court and the lawyers and the doctors, and they're doing this to me. They're against me and they're screwing me, and I'm going to get back at them for screwing me.
Yeah,
so that's the political dynamics of that kind of work. Aside from, of course, you always do ethically what you're called upon to do.
Yeah, because maybe the lawyer represented him, but maybe he thinks maybe he didn't represent him properly, but the wife did get on the news and say that he was violent prone and stuff. So I think the courts might have ruled in the favor of the child, but he didn't like it.
Right.
And anybody he didn't like was at the end of that gunpoint.
That's right. That's right. That's exactly what it was.
Are such difficult cases, and I can certainly understand why you wouldn't want to get mixed up in that. But even you've been doing this kind of work for a long time as a forensic psychologist, and Carl will give expert testimony on different things. Are you a little bit more? Would you be a little bit more on edge now than you would 20 or 30 years ago in this world? Because
I think now probably yes. Although the nature of the work is that there is a certain amount of danger involved. The work that I did was I would render, depending on the case, a variety of different reports to the court as a consultant. I would say whether or not a person was mentally ill or wasn't mentally ill. I would say whether or not at the time of sentencing, should they get a life sentence? Should they get the death penalty? What was the nature, the state of mind, or the history of mental health or stress for this person? You might be called upon, which I wasn't, but you might be called upon to determine whether someone is in the proper state to actually have the death penalty carried out. But where I think the greatest danger is where you have cases and the court is asking you, is this person capable of standing trial? Because you have to say, well, either they're faking, or they really have a mental illness, or they're have a mental illness but they're capable of being cured, and when they're cured they can stand trial. That's where you might have someone who gets angry at you as the doctor and says, well, you told the court that I was faking, and then I had to go to trial, and then I got 6 years in prison, and it's your fault, and the judge's fault, and the prosecutor's fault, and my defense attorney who did a lousy job. And I think in today's environment, and this has nothing to do with whether or not we have guns in our society, I think what's happening, and I try and talk about this in my new book, and I did a little bit in the book on happiness, is that we simply have become a more hostile society. We're a less happy society. We seem to be angry at each other a lot more. And I think that's kind of what's happening in our society.
It's like the underlying tone. In fact, your book was Living in a Hostile World.
My book was Happy in a Hostile World.
Happy in a Hostile World. I always look at the title.
Second book.
Okay, we've already had that segment gone because it's such a good show. So we still have another segment with Dr. Carl Petrasso. He's a forensic psychologist, author, and a dream expert as well. And we'll be right back with him. I'm Alice Lara with
Don Jorge.
So keep listening to the Chips and Salsa Show here on Center Right Radio. We are right here for you. Don't go away.
Laid off and trying to keep our little kids from realizing that Mommy and Daddy haven't eaten in a while.
Roger, from California. I'm grateful we could afford our son's surgery. I'm nervous that now we can't really afford food.
Daniel from California. Choosing whether to pay the rent or pay to fix the car to get to work doesn't leave us with much at all. Now we can't even pay for meals.
Donna from Louisiana. The storm just hit, and we went from donating to the food bank to needing it.
Keisha from South Carolina. I've been skipping meals so my 2 kids can eat, but filling up on water doesn't really work.
Hunger is a story we can end. End it at feedingamerica.org. Brought to you by Feeding America and the Ad Council.
Turn off the fake news and turn on Center Right Radio. Online now at centerright.live.
Today we decided to walk to school. The light counted. 15, 14.
41, 31, 13. We
took a left on Carroll Street. Danny's smart, but he gets distracted.
I
realized he forgot his homework. I hope he doesn't have another bad day at school.
When you can see learning and attention issues from their side, you can be on their side. That's why there's Understood.org, a free resource for the parents of the 1 in 5 kids with learning and attention issues. Go from misunderstanding to Understood.org. Brought to you by Understood and the Ad Council.
And it's a beautiful day here at the search engine and digital marketing race in beautiful Tempe, Arizona. The horses lining up at the gate now, waiting for the bell. And they're off. It's just a two-way race today between your business brand and your relentless competition. Oh, but wait a minute. You've just hired Warhorse Agency for your digital marketing and are quickly taking the lead in your market. Well, hang on to your seat, though. Your competition started their own Google AdWords pay-per-click campaign and are trying to catch up to you now. Good for you, though. They have no idea what they're doing. But don't worry yet. Your digital marketing jockey at Warhorse Agency tirelessly regains the lead with a great viral Facebook ad as well as your own Google SEO and pay-per-click campaign ran by a Warhorse, true leading generating professional. Holy smokes, your business just got a major lead. You're on the first page of Google now, and as they approach the finish line, your business wins. Thanks, Warhorse Agency, for another smashing victory. Contact us today for your free digital marketing evaluation. Visit us at www.gowarhorse.com today.
You're listening to America's favorite political discussion on Center Right Radio.
And we are back with the Chips and Salsa Show. I'm Alice Lara with
Don Jorge.
He's very anxious to get on the microphone here. Hey, you know what? I don't want to forget, because in my land of enchantment, Las Cruces, New Mexico, I just want to keep you guys informed. The Raptors are still 3rd place. That's my great
Well,
my
they were
great
in
nephews.
2nd place.
Well, no, they've been in 3rd place. They're trying to get to 2nd place.
Oh.
But that's Zachary and Bo Beasley. They're
Los
cousins. They're little
Raptors.
great nephews, and they're just doing a good job. You know, they're rocking their hearts out. So, way to go, guys.
I like your shirt.
Hey, you like the shirt?
Cowgirls for Trump.
Oh, I'm glad you said that, because my good friend Deb Westrom, she gave me the shirt. Remember, her and John came, And also a shout out to John and Deb, because we did have our Central Republican Women of Phoenix meeting, which I'm sorry you couldn't make, George. We had a forum with the Arizona Secretary of State. We had Michelle Reagan was there, and with her opponent Steve Gaynor, and John was there. He came, but she gave me the shirt, and I love it. It's a great shirt. Right on. George, do we have any announcements? So we're in the last segment here. I have one that I'm thinking of. July 13th, Central Republican Women of Phoenix, we're going to have a little mixer, and it's going to be with our good friend Moses Sanchez, who is running for the city of Phoenix mayor. We'd love you to join us. Any Republicans are welcome. We'll give you the details on that real soon on the venue. George, I hope you can make it.
I'll try. Our president's headed to North Korea, and we pray that everything turns out okay, and he brings peace to the world, or a start of peace. And we'll know by Monday night how it's going to go.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, and we have our Legislative District 19 meeting on Monday with Sergio, candidate for CD3.
Oh, and I'm glad you mentioned that as well, because our LD 27 meets on Tuesday night, and we have Tim Horn, who will be a future guest here, and he's going to talk about no on the National Popular Vote initiative they're trying to pass. And so be there if you want. You can go to
Hannity pushes that. Sean Hannity, he pushes.
He's for it.
He's for the.
He's for it. Is that right?
He announces it every time on his program, and I'm kind of, I kind of wonder why he's doing that.
That's fascinating. I'll have to check that out. Before we get to our guest again, Dr. Carl Petrasso is going to talk about his book on how the media wants to become your mama and daddy. Dada. Your Dada too, right, Dada? Remember you say Dada? I want to give
That's
you
how they talk in New Orleans.
Dada.
Dada, mama.
Your mama and your Dada. I want to give you some headlines, because it kind of talks about our culture now. So this last week, Miss America kills the glamour. They got rid of the swimsuit competition. The Eagles, they had to cancel them. Our POTUS president said, you know what, don't come. If you don't want to come and respect our flag, don't come to the White House. Also, Melania, the media had to have rumors about her. Oh, the president beating her up. And the great news that came out is breast cancer. Some breast cancer, they may not need to have chemo. Anyway, I give you those headlines because I think that's kind of a good indication of the culture, just the media headlines. Because the book that you are working on, you were telling me, is you're worried about the media is trying to control and become your mama and your dada.
Well, that's a great way of putting it. It's so true. But I think that what is being attempted, and it may succeed because mainstream media is very powerful when you consider. I mean, there is radio such as this, there is Fox News, but there's very few actual conservative shows. I mean, if you think of media, they control the entire education process. They control all of films, what you watch on television, magazines, and they control all of radio, television, and news, and what you see on your iPhone. And I think there's an attempt to create a new morality. And morality is kind of what you feel guilty about and what you don't feel guilty about. And I think they're trying to redefine what it is you're supposed to feel guilty about and what it is you're not supposed to feel guilty about. And it's quite insidious because it's actually an attempt to change your psychology, meaning the way you feel about yourself, what you reject about yourself and what you don't like about yourself, and what you accept about yourself and what you do like about yourself. And at one time, it would be the 10 Commandments. So if you broke a commandment, you'd feel guilty and bad about it. Well, the media is trying to create its own new set of commandments. Yep. And it's trying to control how, and what it's doing is it's saying, we want you to feel guilty about certain things. For example, and the narrative is, if you don't follow the commandments we're teaching you, just like the commandments of old, you're an immoral, bad, horrible person. If you don't believe in globalization, and you don't believe that we should have one world economy, And it's better for everybody in the world to drive around in a little electric car than it is for some of us to own 2 cars or 1 car or a truck or whatever. Then what's wrong with you? You're a very immoral person. You want to keep down the poor.
You totally hit the nail on the head there. I think you're absolutely right on that. Do you have a title for the book yet?
So far, the only working
Mama
title.
and Dada now.
Mama, I like Mama and Dada. I especially like Dada.
I call it mind control.
Yeah.
Because if you say something enough times, and the media controls saying something, people tend to believe it, and except us conservatives.
Mm-hmm.
If your professor, you go to your, actually elementary school, high school, and your teachers constantly tell you what the right is saying, what the left is saying, and then you go to college and your professors are preaching the same thing, that socialism might be good, and what you learn
socialism,
that socialism might be good, and that Marxism might be good, and they put it in a way to make you believe it. And then all of a sudden you go and you watch CNN and you watch CNBC and ABC, and they're all saying the same thing. You start to say, well, you know what? I believe that what they're saying, because you don't watch Fox, because Fox is the evil one. But Fox News to me is, because I go to CNN sometimes. Recently I have been. I just want to see what the other side, and boy, it just wants to make you barf.
It's very difficult to watch.
And it's totally anti-right, totally anti-Trump. They turn everything he does around to make it seem like it's bad. Their heads are going to explode on Monday night. I'm telling you this, because when they see what happens, and then Thursday when that report comes out, if one part of their heads exploded, the other part's going to explode on Thursday. So I'm hoping for the best.
And Dr. Petrasso, it gets more difficult, don't you think, to actually find the real news, because like George is saying, you're watching certain stations, and man, they're focused. If Melania, you can't find anything else. A volcano is erupting and other things, and Fox is a little guilty of that as well.
Well, I think the question with Fox is sometimes the attempt to be fair and balanced is gets a little boring, because you're hearing almost too much of the other side, and it's you kind of want to hear a little bit more of your own side and your own thinking, or of the conservative side and the conservative thinking.
Well, that's why they bring in, what's his name? What's that guy's name that they bring in?
Are you talking about a reporter?
Yeah. They have him on the 5, and then they have him on...
There's a lot of guys on Fox.
I forget his name.
You're talking about Juan Williams, the other side?
Yeah, Juan Williams.
Okay. I play really good senior charades with George.
And
I really do.
He does, he does carry the left mantra. And it's just that sometimes he just gets carried away, and he doesn't want to listen to reason, because sometimes he wants to be on the opposite side.
Well, I think the danger of what's going on is that, again, as you were saying, George, we have this thing where kids, from the moment they enter school, and if it's higher education, going through higher education, if you go to see a movie, there's a moral message, and the moral message is a liberal moral message in movies and on television shows. If you hear the news, basically all the news, except for a minority of programs, speak with one voice about what you're supposed to think. For example, civil liberty is more important than religious liberty. In other words, it doesn't matter what you think religiously. If the government makes a law, that should have priority over your personal religious beliefs. Now, we're a country founded on the idea that everybody was free to practice their religion. Now we're coming to a point where the new morality is, oh no, religion is a very bad thing, and the laws that the civil government makes are the good things.
Wow. Okay, we have 1 minute. Julian, can I ask you, can we extend the show like about 10 more minutes? Do you have time to do that? If you can't, no problem. You can 3 more minutes? Okay, he's going to give us 3 more minutes this show, because we want to do the cocotazos and the whole enchiladas real quick. You're absolutely dead on that. So look for that book. We'll have you back before so you can talk more about your book.
Well, thank
but
you.
I think you're dead on that topic. Okay, we're going to do the whole enchiladas and the cocotazos. We don't even have time to explain, but a cocotazo is just something dumb. I'm going to run through these real quick. Number 1, Pelosi complains about Trump's booming economy. Number 2, FBI agent busts a move on the dance floor and accidentally shoots his friend. Not good. Number 3, the Demlo family says the world is a better place without her. Number 4, new California law limits how much water people can use. They can only use, by 2020, you're only going to be able to use 55 gallons a day per person. Number 5, Planned Parenthood shares sexist hot ad with teen girls. Number 6, Bill Clinton's very own Me Too movement. You saw how, oh my gosh, it's incredible. And the last one, George just added, Bill Maher, libs truly hate Trump and more than they love the country. Just go ahead and crash the economy. He's okay with that. I'm going to put you on the spot, George. Who do you vote for?
I say number 7. He wants the economy to crash so that Trump is voted out of office. That is so stupid. That is stupid.
Yeah. Julian, you want to vote or you want to leave you out of there? So you're watching the time.
Yeah, I was watching time.
Okay.
I didn't pay attention.
All right. Dr. Petrasso, who would you vote for?
You know, it's a toss-up between Pelosi saying that a booming economy is a bad thing and we should raise taxes, and Bill Maher, but I think it's really a vicious thing for someone to say that I hope all of my fellow citizens suffer so that I can get rid of a guy that I don't like.
That's almost evil. Okay, and I'm gonna bust it up because Bill Clinton's still out there and he's trying to say that he's for the Me Too movement. I'm sorry, that's a big cocotazo and I have to vote for him. So it was a tie, but those were all good. Thank you to our producer Sonia, who keeps taking care of us for this and always has that. She also put the whole enchiladas together. Number 1, James Woods buries Pelosi after she complains about Trump's booming economy. Number 2, a Chattanooga firefighter went the extra mile to help calm a baby. Number 3, Sarah Sanders destroys the Philadelphia Eagles over the political stunt. You gotta love her. She's great. Number 4, message to Californians moving to Arizona or any other state. What was the message? Do you remember, George? Oh yeah, that was a conservative Hispanic. Oh, I gotta wrap it up. Want to give me a vote real quick? I vote for the conservative Hispanic.
Oh, wait a minute. Oops.
George, you got one?
I got to think about it.
I vote for the message to California is moving to Arizona.
Yeah, don't bring your liberal policies
Don't
here.
bring your liberal policies. Go to another state.
You got one?
I like that one, too.
All right. That's the winner, and it's a good one. We're trying to get him on the show, by the way. I'm Alice Latta with George Ortiz. Thank you, Carl Petrasso, for coming in. Thank you, Julie and Allison, for taking care of us. Thank you, Sonia Siegert. Be with us next Saturday at 4 p.m. here on the Chips and Salsa Show on Center Right Radio. We are right here for you. Have a wonderful week. We'll see you next Father's Day weekend. Walk on.
Walk on.